Hey everybody, good to see you again. Today's discussion is going to be on how are configuration files stored under a Unix or Linux-like system. And one of the most important things about a Unix or Linux-based system that you need to remember is everything is a file. Everything. Everything is a file when it comes to Unix or Linux. So what does that mean? Well, let's start with a system that does not treat everything like a file, and that would be Microsoft Windows. Microsoft Windows uses what is called a registry. So if you've ever used a tool called regedit in order to go in and make changes to your registry, to make changes to the system for whatever wide array of reasons that you may have for registry editing a Microsoft Windows computer, you have gone in and you have changed some of those configurations. Whereas the opposite to this is under a Unix or Linux based system, you can actually go in and you can find configuration files for just about everything. Anything that you want to do. And I'm going to demonstrate that. If I click ls here, you'll see that I'm in a folder that has things like affinity hint, effective affinity list. If we type pwd, you'll see I'm in something called pros or proc, IRQ, and 1. And so if you have taken any classes previously on IRQs and interrupts and so on and so forth, you will start to realize very quickly we have access to all of the IRQs as an item that has been exposed to the system. I can type ls here under proc and we can see more information. We can see bus and mounts, timer lists, partitions. If I type in ls partitions, we can l-f partitions, and you can see all of the partitions have now been exposed directly through that file. Another thing that's really cool that we can do is we can take a look at this. This is rtorrent.rc. This file is actually empty. It exists. Let me see if I can find this one that exists. So this is vim info. This is a file that's generated by Vim 8.1. And it says you may edit it if you're careful, so on and so forth. We've got some command line history and so on and so forth in here. ls-la. Let's see what else we have in here. vim.bashrc. So this is my bashrc file, and here all of the configuration for bash is stored within this file right here. You can go in and see what's the hist size, what's the hist file size, how much history can your how long can be the length of your history, and so on and so forth. So under a Unix or Linux-like system, everything is configured via files. There is no central registry, and you can pretty much gain access to and deal with it, everything related to the system via some kind of file-based interface that functions kind of like an API for literally everything. I think it's one of the greatest and most powerful pieces of what makes Linux Linux is no matter what you want to gain access to, no matter what you want to change, no matter what configuration you want to make, you can go in and you can make those changes as long as you know what files to manipulate, in what order, because of course some of these configuration files will actually look in a specific order until it finds a file in a specific location, and then it stops reading and it only uses the configuration in that location. For the sake of what we're talking about here, I'm not going to go into that, but what I am going to tell you is you can potentially have a configuration inside the folder /etc, or sometimes they refer to it as etc. So that's Echo Tango Charlie. And we have a ton of configuration in there. You could have something in there, and then local to your home directory, you can type a period, and then let's just say make a vimrc, and instead of using the vimrc that came with the system that's located at that top directory of etc, it will now use your local vimrc in place of that. So that's another important tip to keep in mind is as you edit files on your system, if changes are not being recognized, it may entirely be possible that you're changing the wrong file in the wrong location. But as you pick up on how to edit the system and how to work with these configurations and so on and so forth, what you're going to discover is the idea of everything being a file or everything being a file descriptor, that will give you almost unlimited power when it comes to your system. So with that said, do you think a registry is better, or do you think everything being a file is better? Which kind of system would you prefer to work with? In a way, I'm almost asking, do you think that Linux or Windows is better? And in addition to that, if you've ever dealt with a Unix or Linux, or I'm sorry, a Unix-based system like a Mac OS, Mac OS also interacts with all of its files in a file-based manner, and so you can go in and you can do very similar configuration changes on a Mac as you would on a Linux, with only very minor changes to how you handle that, and pretty much one-to-one those changes will cross over. So with that said, thank you for joining me, and I look forward to talking to you all again later.